You know what you've taken from me, yet you keep pushing and pushing for more until I end up like, I I can't. I will not let you steal my hope like you did to Paige and the others. If you want me to die, you will have to do it yourself. We were all so naive when this all started. We arrived at this old dusty motel, not expecting it to be the usual experience because the whole place was rented out for our experiment. Everyone dropped their bags at the bar. That bar. It gives me shivers thinking about it now. Peter, being the lovable oaf that he is, accidentally hitting me with his bags. And Paige, oh Paige, she was my protector. She let Peter have it though, telling him to be more careful and to apologize to me. All seven of us quickly became close, but that's exactly what you wanted, wasn't it? My first red flag should have been when I walked into my room, closed the door, sat down on my bed, and started to inspect my fancy new leather book with my name emblazoned on the cover. That's when Paige burst into my room. I will never forget her words. You have been up here for hours. You should join us all on the bar. I thought to myself, hours? I just sat down. But that's what you do, isn't it? Time doesn't mean anything in here. For all I know, decades have passed, or no time at all. The bar. That bar. I think it's maybe the most cursed place in this motel. Just like this whole thing, it started off fun. Eileen and James were nestled in the corner whispering sweet nothings to each other. Joan and Samantha stood with pool cues in hand by the table, strategizing their next shot. Peter was behind the bar making sure everyone was happy, and Paige and I were just walking in. So many happy memories in this room, all tainted by you. My first friends, my first sip of alcohol, even my first time hearing the song Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runner. The whole room exploded with laughter when I played that on the jukebox. We forged our bonds playing pool against one another, or as Peter called it, the semi-professional amateur pool tournament. Samantha really came into her own during that evening, with her creative strategy for helping Joan moving or straight up sinking balls when she thought we weren't watching. But you were watching and waiting, weren't you? Waiting for Joan to go to bed so that you could... Where was I? Oh, yes. Joan retired himself when he realized Samantha was cheating for him, and James took it upon himself to disqualify Samantha. I think it was just so that he would play the final game against Eileen. I wonder, when Jean went to bed and left the bar, did he know? Was he aware of you? Samantha followed shortly after. That's when we all heard it, a blood-curdling scream. We all rushed to Joan and Samantha's rooms. When I got there, James and Peter were inside Jean's room. Samantha was sitting in the hallway with her back to her room's door, crying a deep, sorrowful cry. A type of cry I've only heard once before, from my mother, when my father passed away from cancer. She cried like that for months. Eileen and Paige were trying to console Samantha. There is no solace when you lose someone that close to you. Peter and James filled out Jean's doorway so I couldn't see the room. Eventually, I squeezed through. I wish I never did. Jean was laying there. His throat was slit. Blood was splattered across his walls and dripping onto the floor, forming a pool. That wasn't even the worst of it, was it? That's what you did to his face, was the most disturbing. His face was so contorted and twisted into a blur of flesh and blood. No identifiable features were left. Tell me, did you kill him, or did you torture him to the point of slitting his own throat? Right as I turned around to go hug Samantha is when she took off into the darkness of the motel. Peter and James went to go look for Samantha, whilst Paige, Eileen, and myself decided to go to the front desk and look for a phone to call the police or the Calm Minds facility running the experiment. We all agree we should all meet back at the bar within an hour. It seemed so easy, so achievable. As we walked back down to the entrance, the hallway seemed longer and darker than before. Samantha's cries echoed throughout the motel. Or was that you? Come to think about it, did I see 4 shadows on the wall on our way to the office? At the time, I just thought it was because I had tears in my eyes. When we finally arrived at the office, the door was locked. Eileen pushed and pulled on the glass door. That's when Paige took a chair from the front desk and threw it right through the door. Glass shattered everywhere. It even gave me a small cut on my leg. But considering the situation, I didn't even notice. But you did. You noticed everything. Playing games with us. I picked up the phone, but there was no tone. Paige followed the cord to the wall where it was cleanly cut. Cut or not, that phone would never have worked, would it? You control everything here, don't you? That's when I remembered I forgot to give in my tablet at the door when we arrived. We foolishly thought we could use it to contact someone, anyone. My optimism sickens me now. We ran back to my room. The hallways felt brighter and shorter than ever at that point. We were still filled with hope, but you destroyed all of our hope once we reached my room. It was completely ransacked, and it had this strange smell to it. All of my clothes, bedding, and pillows were strewn across my room. All 3 of us frantically looked for my tablet. That's when Eileen found it, smashed in the corner by the window. Once we realized all hope has left this motel. That's when we noticed my clothes, my bedding, the tablet, and even the walls had blood smeared all over it. We were so engrossed in looking for the tablet that we didn't realize before. Wait. Maybe it wasn't even there before. You could have done anything. For all I know, my room and tablet could still be in pristine condition. Not that it matters, really. I know now I can never trust anything I see or hear. Right at that moment, when we saw the blood, we heard Samantha scream again. Or was it you? I don't know. It didn't stop us, though. We ran floor to floor, room by room, searching for her and the boys. Each room we checked revealed nothing but dust and shadows. The hallways grew darker and darker as we made our way up the floors. Finally, we made it to the top floor. That's when Paige and I should have realized. The signs were all there. Room by room, all we found was just more hopelessness. Until the last room. Paige swung it open with her usual confidence. Nothing could have prepared us for what we found. It was Eileen, or at least what was left of her. Paige and I jumped to face you, and that's when you lunged at Paige. But she had the better of you. Or that's what you wanted us to think. You two broke out in a violent fistfight. With every punch Paige landed, your face changed slightly. Like a badly made video game. Paige had scratches and bruises all over her. I just stood there motionless. I didn't know what to do. Paige, out of breath, tried to tackle you one more time. But she just passed right through you, as if you were merely smoke being waved away by a hand. She sat on the floor and looked up at me, panting. Eileen's desecrated body behind me. The commotion attracted Peter and James to where we were. I tried to stop James from seeing Eileen like that, but he was too strong for me. He fell to his knees and started to cry. We all lost so much so quickly. Peter snapped at Paige, pressing her for information we just didn't have. James quickly put it to an end and said we should just go back to the bar and stay there to protect each other. We sedately walked back to the bar. The hallways felt pitch black, despite the lights being on. Our next step in front of us was all we could focus on. Once we reached that bar, we should have realized it was over. It was completely different this time. Where there were full shelves of alcohol, there was merely a single bottle of whiskey and 4 tumbler glasses. We just didn't notice, or at least we didn't care enough anymore to notice. You had already won. You had won the moment we first stepped into this maddening place. James poured us each a glass to the very brim. Behind him, I saw something scamper across the shelves. At this point, I was so emotionally exhausted, it didn't even register to me. But that's exactly where you wanted us. James tried to keep everyone calm, which was especially tough because all Paige could say was, "We need to get out." As James tried to reason with her, he started to choke, and slowly, you started to appear again. Finger by finger, you came crawling out of his mouth. Grabbed his face with your arm protruding from his mouth, smashed him face first into the bar, and snapped his neck. I screamed and burst into tears as I shoved my face into Paige's chest. Peter just collapsed right on the spot, hitting his head on the pool table as he fell. That's when Paige and I tried to run out the door, but right as we reached the threshold, the door disappeared, and we ran straight into a wall. We turned around, and the door was now on the opposite side of the room. We ran to it, and this time you let us pass, because you were still playing with us, weren't you? We made it to where the front door was, near the front desk, but this time it was nothing but a blank white wall. So we decided to break through a window from one of the rooms. You had us covered, however. Every room we tried was locked. Room by room we tried, until we made it back to my room. Paige swung it open. As she stepped in, I pulled her back by her shirt onto her ass. She was surprised and confused. I was in so much shock I couldn't even answer her when she asked why I did it. All I could do was point at you, floating there in an endless void. Your unnatural long limbs and faceless head, nothing but a shark-like smile. No eyes, no nose, just teeth. Paige gave me one last look and let go of everything. Let go of me, she let go of her anxiety, she let go of her life. She just tumbled into the void. As she fell out of my view, you shut the door. All I could think was I needed to run. Back then, I still believed I could. I just have to ask, why was I last? Why not just kill us all at once? You have already won. Why won't you fucking answer me? Chelsea? Oh my god, what happened to you? Who said that? Sam? Is that you? No, it's not. Just kill me already. I can't take it anymore.